In March last year, when the coronavirus hit South African shores, there was a show of unity between government and the country's political parties. Opposition leaders pledged their support for the effort to curb the virus, contributing towards the Solidarity Fund and doing their bit in distributing food parcels to struggling communities. Now 10 months into the national lockdown, a very different tone by political parties regarding the government's response to the fight against the coronavirus. COPE has lashed out at President Cyril Ramaphosa, urging him to be inclusive when making decisions.
President Ramaphosa must not only meet with provincial health MECs in reviewing level 3, he must meet with all political parties in parliament like before. COVID-19 knows no politician, no president, no political party. It sweeps anything in its way. Therefore, it needs all hands on deck.
However, the cracks had already begun to show. The DA embarked on a number of court challenges and together with the Freedom Front Plus sought to have the Disaster Management Act declared unconstitutional. In June, EFF leader Julius Malema declared that his party would no longer be a part of consultations with President Cyril Ramaphosa. To add fuel to the fire, the DA has now suggested that the president's claim that the government has been working on vaccine acquisition for 6 months is false. The party says government's reluctance to secure a full supply of vaccines from reputable suppliers is because the politically connected are hoping to score kickbacks from the Chinese and Russian suppliers. Political analyst Ivo Sarakinsky says it is sad that some opposition parties have chosen to use the pandemic to score points.
Political parties are taking an adversarial position in terms of reacting to whatever government does, and government has a mandate to respond to the pandemic, and it becomes difficult to collaborate with parties who are challenging you and questioning you and contradicting everything you do in order to perhaps score points in the lead up to the local government elections later this year.
Sarakinsky says there are a number of ways in which political parties can effectively play a role.
Perform a proper oversight function in local, provincial and national parliaments to keep government to account, to make sure that the money allocated is used properly. And here the DA in the Western Cape as government messages very differently to the DA as opposition party nationally. And that discrepancy is worrying because there's so much positive that's happening in the Western Cape in terms of managing the pandemic. And if the DA had to bring that messaging from the province into the national discourse, instead of complaining and whining, it would just be constructive.
Whether political parties have been relegated by government or have confined themselves to the margins of the fight against the pandemic, a united and concerted effort is needed by all in order to win the war against the coronavirus, which is ravaging the nation. Natasha Piri, SABC News, Johannesburg.